Commander Zara Velox stared out of the viewport on her personal shuttle, watching stars streak by as they approached the Centauri diplomatic station. After 50 years as the Accioni ambassador, very little surprised her anymore. "Ambassador, we will dock in 10 minutes, her pilot called back. Zara nodded, her silver scales catching the light as she moved. The scales along her neck shifted color slightly, a pale blue that reflected her mood of mild boredom. The message from Earth had arrived 3 days ago. Another human ship, another tour request. The humans were the newest members of the Galactic Council, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 30 years ago. They were eager to show their progress, like children seeking approval. "The new human vessel has arrived at the station," her assistant Nix said, checking a data tablet. "They're calling it the U.S. Horizon." "How original," Zara said dryly. "I assume they want the full diplomatic welcome." Nix's antenna twitched in amusement. "They specifically requested your presence. The captain mentions that their design breaks new ground in spatial engineering." Zara had heard such claims before. The Draxians had boasted about their living ships. The Volturi were proud of their crystal-powered drives. The Murians never stopped talking about their hive-mind navigation systems. None had truly impressed her. "Send the standard acceptance message," she said. "Schedule the tour for tomorrow. I need to attend the Regellian Trade Conference first." Their shuttle docked with a gentle bump. As Zara gathered her ceremonial robes, she caught sight of something unusual through the viewpoint. A ship unlike any she had seen before hovered near the station. It didn't have the sleek, symmetrical lines of Accioni vessels or the crystalline structures of Tholian ships. Instead, it seemed to bend light around it in strange ways, with sections that appeared disconnected yet clearly part of the whole. "Is that the human ship?" she asked, unable to hide her curiosity. Nix checked his tablet. "Yes, Ambassador. The U.S. Horizon." For the first time in years, Zara felt a flicker of genuine interest. The vessel defied conventional design principles. How did it maintain structural integrity with that configuration? As she walked through the docking bay, a human woman in a crisp blue uniform approached. Her dark hair was pulled back, and she moved with the confident stride of someone used to command. "Ambassador Velox," the woman said, offering the traditional Accioni greeting gesture with surprising accuracy. "I'm Captain Jane Foster of the U.S. Horizon. Thank you for accepting our invitation." "Captain," Zara replied, returning the gesture. "Your ship has an unusual appearance." Captain Foster smiled. "That's one way to put it. We've incorporated some new ideas that might surprise you." "I doubt that," Zara said. "I've toured over 200 different ships from 47 species." "Then we have quite the challenge ahead," Foster said, her smile widening. "Would you like to move your tour to this evening? I promise it won't take long, and I believe it will be worth your time." Something about the captain's confidence gave Zara pause. Most species were intimidated by the ancient Accioni, with their advanced technology and long history. This human showed no such hesitation. "Very well," Zara decided. "After the Regellian conference, I will visit your ship." As Captain Foster walked away, Zara found herself looking back at the strange vessel through a nearby viewport. For the first time in decades, she felt something like anticipation stirring within her. Perhaps the humans would surprise her after all. The Regellian Trade Conference ended earlier than expected, leaving Zara with time to prepare for her visit to the human ship. She chose her formal diplomatic attire, robes of shimmering blue fabric that complemented her silver scales. "The U.S. Horizon has sent a shuttle for you," Nix informed her. "It's docking now." Zara nodded, surprised at her own curiosity. "What information do we have about this vessel?" "Very little," Nix admitted, checking his data tablet. "The humans have been secretive about its capabilities. We know it's their newest design and has completed only 3 voyages so far." The human shuttle waiting at the dock was small but elegant, with clean lines that hinted at efficient design rather than mere aesthetics. A young human male stood at attention beside it. "Ambassador Velox, he said with a respectful bow. "I'm Lieutenant Ben Clark, sent to escort you to the horizon." The shuttle ride was brief but revealing. Unlike most transport vessels, this one had viewports that seemed to provide an impossibly clear view of space. Zara could see stars with a clarity that suggested some form of enhanced optical technology. "Your viewing windows are quite remarkable," she noted. Lieutenant Clark smiled. "They're not exactly windows. It's a direct quantum imaging system, showing you space exactly as it is, without the limitations of light transmission." Zara's scales shifted to a pale gold, a sign of genuine interest among her people. Such technology was theoretical among even the Axioni. As they approached the horizon, Zara could finally appreciate its strange design. Parts of the ship seemed to exist in partial phase with normal space, creating the illusion of disconnected sections. "How does your vessel maintain structural integrity with that configuration?" she asked. "You'll have to ask our chief engineer," Clark replied. "But I believe it has something to do with quantum locking and spatial folding." The shuttle passed through what appeared to be solid hull without slowing, emerging into a brightly lit docking bay. Captain Foster waited there, alongside several other officers. "Welcome aboard the Horizon, Ambassador," Foster said. "I hope you don't mind, but I've prepared a special tour route for someone of your experience." "Oh." Zara's head crest raised slightly. "Most dignitaries want to see the bridge, the recreational facilities, the diplomatic quarters. I thought you might appreciate something more technical." Zara felt her interest grow. "You thought correctly, Captain." Their first stop was a circular room dominated by what appeared to be a sphere of swirling light, contained within a complex framework of unknown metal. "This is our navigation core," Foster explained. "Rather than calculating routes through space, we visualize them directly." A human woman with curly red hair stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Linda Hayes, navigation specialist. What you're seeing is a quantum map of local spacetime, displayed in 4 dimensions." Zara watched, fascinated, as the sphere shifted and pulsed. Within it, she could make out what seemed to be stars, planets, and the swirling patterns of gravitational fields. "You can actually see distortions in spacetime?" she asked, her scales now bright gold with excitement. "Not just see them. We can interact with them," Dr. Hayes explained, touching the edge of the sphere. The display zoomed in on what appeared to be a fold in the fabric of space. "We don't just travel through space. We negotiate with it." Captain Foster smiled at Zara's obvious interest. "And this is just the beginning, Ambassador. Would you like to see how we power these systems?" For the first time in many years, Zara found herself genuinely eager to continue a ship tour. "Lead the way, Captain," she said. "You have my complete attention." Captain Foster led Zara through corridors that seemed to bend in ways that defied normal geometry. At times, they would turn a corner and find themselves in a section that logically should have been on the opposite side of the ship. "Your vessel's internal layout is unusual," Zara commented, trying to maintain her diplomatic composure despite her growing fascination. "That's one way to put it," Foster replied with a smile. "We've implemented what we call spatial condensation. The interior of the Horizon is actually larger than its exterior dimensions would suggest." Zara's head crest rose in surprise. "You've created pocket dimensions within the ship itself." "Not exactly," said a new voice. A tall human with dark skin and short gray hair approached them. "We've folded space rather than created new dimensions. Chief Engineer Mason Gray, Ambassador. It's an honor to meet you." Mason gestured to the corridor around them. "What appears to be a straight path to you is actually curving through multiple planes of existence simultaneously. It allows us to fit about 3 times more volume inside the ship than its external measurements would indicate." Zara reached out to touch the wall, half expecting her hand to pass through it. The surface felt solid but somehow vibrant, as if humming with energy. "The walls contain millions of micro-adjusters," Mason explained. "They constantly reconfigure the ship's internal geometry to maximize efficiency." They continued walking until they reached what appeared to be a dead end. Captain Foster placed her hand on the wall, and it dissolved, revealing a vast chamber that couldn't possibly fit within the ship's dimensions. The room contained what looked like a garden, with trees, flowing water, and even artificial sunlight streaming from above. Crew members relaxed among the greenery, some reading, others engaged in conversation. "Our central commons," Foster explained. "Every ship needs a heart, and this is ours." Zara had seen recreational areas on other vessels, but nothing like this living ecosystem perfectly maintained within a starship. "The air quality is remarkable," she noted, her respiratory slits widening slightly to take in the oxygen-rich atmosphere. "The plants aren't just for crew morale," Mason said. "They're part of our life support system, genetically enhanced to produce optimal breathing conditions and filter toxins." As they walked through the garden, Zara noticed something else unusual. The ceiling above showed what appeared to be open sky, with clouds drifting by. "Another projection?" she asked. "Actually, no," Foster replied. "That's a direct view of Earth's atmosphere. We maintain a quantum link with our home planet, allowing real-time visual connection, regardless of distance." Zara's scales shifted to bright gold with amazement. "Such a link would require enormous energy." "That's where things get really interesting," Mason said, exchanging a look with Captain Foster. "We've developed what we call probability energy extraction." They led her to a sealed transparent tube that ran through the garden. Inside, particles of light seemed to blink in and out of existence, following no pattern Zara could discern. "These are quantum possibilities," Mason explained. "Particles that exist in multiple states simultaneously. We've found a way to harness the energy released when they collapse into a single state." "That's..." Zara struggled to find words. "That's theoretically impossible." Foster smiled. "Humans have a habit of making the impossible possible. Would you like to see the main reactor?" For the first time in her long diplomatic career, Zara felt like a novice again, encountering wonders beyond her understanding. Her scales were now a bright, uniform gold, a clear sign of excitement that she didn't bother to hide. "Please," she said simply. "Show me everything." The path to the engine room took them through sections of the ship that seemed to shift and change as they walked. Doorways appeared where there had been none before, and corridors stretched or compressed depending on their needs. "The ship responds to crew intent," Mason explained, noticing Zara's fascination. "If you need to reach engineering quickly, the path shortens itself." They stopped before a massive set of doors marked with warning symbols. Captain Foster placed her hand on a scanner, and the doors slid open with a soft hiss. The engine room of the U.S. Horizon defied all of Zara's expectations. Instead of the typical matter-antimatter reactors or fusion cores used by most species, the center of the room was occupied by what appeared to be a sphere of swirling, multicolored light suspended in midair. "What am I looking at?" Zara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We call it the probability core," Mason said proudly. "It exists partially in our universe, and partially in what we call probability space, the realm of quantum possibilities." A young human woman approached, wiping her hands on a cloth. Her red jumpsuit had patches of what looked like liquid light staining the fabric. "This is Olivia Reed, our quantum specialist," Foster introduced her. Olivia nodded respectfully to Zara. "The core harvests energy from events that might have happened but didn't. Every decision point in the universe creates alternate timelines that technically exist in quantum state. We tap into that potential energy." Zara moved closer to the sphere, watching as colors shifted and swirled within it. "The energy output must be enormous. And completely clean," Mason added. "No radiation, no waste products, no fuel consumption. Just pure energy drawn from quantum uncertainty." Olivia gestured to the monitoring stations surrounding the core. "The tricky part is stabilizing the extraction process. Too much draw, and we risk collapsing probability states across a wide area." "What would happen then?" Zara asked. "Reality would solidify," Olivia explained. "Quantum uncertainty is what allows change to happen at the subatomic level. Without it, everything freezes. No movement, no life, no thought. The implications were staggering. Zara had seen powerful technologies before, but nothing that interacted with the fundamental fabric of reality itself. "How did humans develop this technology so quickly?" she asked. "Your species only achieved FTL travel 30 years ago." Captain Foster smiled. "We've always been good at making unexpected leaps. Our history is full of sudden breakthroughs that changed everything." Mason added, "Plus, we hired some brilliant non-humans as consultants. The basic theory came from a Taurian mathematician." Zora appreciated their honesty. Most species were reluctant to admit outside influences on their technological achievements. Olivia touched a control panel, and the sphere's swirling patterns changed. "Would you like to see how we use this energy for propulsion?" With another touch, a holographic display appeared, showing the horizon's external structure with energy flows highlighted. Zara watched as pulses of energy moved through the ship in patterns that defied conventional physics. "Instead of pushing against space, we pull space toward us," Olivia explained. "Or more accurately, we reduce the probability of space existing between us and our destination." "You're shortening the distance itself," Zara realized, her scales glowing golden with excitement. "Exactly," Mason confirmed. "At maximum capacity, we can reduce a 10-light-year journey to effectively zero distance." Captain Foster watched Zora's reaction carefully. "This technology is still experimental. The horizon is our first full-scale implementation." Zora understood the implications immediately. The humans weren't just showing off. They were demonstrating technology that could revolutionize interstellar travel throughout the galaxy. And they were sharing it with her, an Axioni ambassador, first. "Captain," she said, her voice filled with newfound respect, "I believe my government will be very interested in discussing a technology exchange program with Earth." Captain Foster led Zora away from the engine room toward a section of the ship that had noticeably higher security. Multiple scanning points and armed guards suggested they were approaching sensitive areas. "This is our tactical center," Foster explained as they passed through a final security checkpoint. Most diplomatic tours don't include this section. The room they entered was smaller than Zora expected, with only 4 crew members monitoring various stations. The center of the room contained a 3-dimensional holographic display of the horizon and the surrounding space. A tall human with short blonde hair approached them. "Ambassador, welcome to Tactical. I'm Security Chief Aaron Kelly." Zara nodded in greeting, her attention drawn to the holographic display. The image showed strange energy patterns flowing around the ship's hull, creating what appeared to be multiple overlapping layers. "Your shielding system?" she asked. "Yes," Aaron confirmed, "but not in the way most species implement shields." He touched a control, and the display zoomed in on the hull itself. What appeared as solid metal from a distance was actually composed of billions of tiny machines in constant motion. "Nanite defensive matrix," Aaron explained. "Each unit is about the size of a cell, but contains processing power equivalent to early computers. They work together to form a collective intelligence that protects the ship." Zara had heard of nanite technology before, but never implemented on this scale. The computational requirements must be enormous. "They are," Foster agreed. "That's where our AI systems come in. We have 3 dedicated quantum processors just to coordinate the nanite swarms." Aaron touched another control, and the display showed a simulation of an energy weapon striking the hull. Instead of creating a conventional shield flare, the nanites instantly reconfigured, absorbing and redirecting the energy. "The nanites can adapt to any form of attack within microseconds," he explained. "Energy weapons, kinetic impacts, even exotic particle beams, they analyze the threat and respond accordingly." "And if they're damaged?" Zara asked. "They self-repair and reproduce," Aaron said. "As long as about 20% of the swarm remains intact, they can rebuild completely within hours." Captain Foster moved to another station, where a serious-looking woman monitored what appeared to be weapons systems. "This is Lieutenant Natalie Ward, our weapons specialist," Foster introduced her, "though we prefer to emphasize our defensive capabilities." Natalie nodded respectfully to Zara. "The same technology that protects us can be used offensively if necessary, Ambassador." She brought up a new display showing what appeared to be conventional weapon ports on the Horizon's hull. "These look like standard plasma cannons, but they're actually nanite deployment systems." "You weaponized the nanites?" Zara asked, unable to hide her surprise. "Only as a last resort," Foster assured her. "Our primary directive is exploration and diplomacy. But space can be dangerous." Natalie demonstrated with another simulation. The nanites could be launched toward an enemy vessel, where they would attach to the hull and begin disrupting systems without causing catastrophic damage or loss of life. "Precise, targeted defense," Aaron explained. "We can disable weapons and engines without destroying the ship or harming its crew." Zara's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue-green. "Most species develop weapons designed to completely destroy their enemies." "We've had enough of that in our history," Foster said quietly. "Space is vast. Resources are plentiful. There's rarely a need for total war." The philosophy behind the technology impressed Zara as much as the technology itself. The humans had created incredibly powerful systems, but designed them primarily for defense and non-lethal intervention. "Your approach is refreshing," Zara admitted. "The Accioni Defense Council would benefit from this perspective." Foster smiled. "That's high praise from the people who developed the Stellar Peace Accord." For the first time, Zara felt she was seeing not just advanced technology, but wisdom in its application, something far rarer in the galaxy. "What else would you like to see, Ambassador?" Foster asked. Zara's scales glowed with genuine interest. "Everything you're willing to show me, Captain." The journey to the bridge took them through more of the ship's impossible geometry. They passed crew quarters that resembled small apartments rather than the cramped cabins typical of military vessels. Zara noticed communal spaces where humans gathered, talking and laughing together. "Your crew seems very relaxed," she observed. Captain Foster nodded. "Humans perform better when they're comfortable and connected. A happy crew is an effective crew." They reached a set of doors that slid open to reveal the bridge. Unlike the command centers of most military vessels, which typically featured the central captain's chair surrounded by subordinate stations, the Horizon's bridge was arranged in a circular pattern with no clear hierarchy. "Welcome to the heart of our operations," Foster said. The bridge was spacious and well-lit, with what appeared to be windows looking out into space. Zara knew they couldn't be actual windows. No material could withstand the stresses of faster-than-light travel while remaining transparent. A woman with short brown hair approached them. "Ambassador Velox, welcome to the bridge. I'm First Officer Lisa Bennett." Zara greeted her with the traditional Accioni gesture. "Your bridge design is unusual." "We believe in collaborative command," Lisa explained. "Every station has equal access to ship systems and information." Zara noticed that the workstations were arranged in a circle, with no position clearly superior to others. Even the captain's chair, which was only slightly larger than the others, was positioned as part of the circle rather than above or separate from the crew. "In crisis situations, rigid hierarchies can slow response times," Foster explained. "Our system allows the most qualified person to take lead on any given situation." Lisa gestured toward what appeared to be the main view screen, though it wrapped around nearly half the bridge, providing an immersive view of space. "Our quantum imaging system gives us real-time visuals without light-speed delays." As if to demonstrate, the screen shifted to show a nearby asteroid field with incredible clarity. Zara could see details of individual rocks, surface features that would normally require telescopic enhancement. "The resolution is remarkable," she said. "It's not just an image," Lisa explained. "It's a direct quantum connection to that space. What you're seeing is happening right now, regardless of distance." Foster nodded to a young officer at what appeared to be the navigation station. "Lieutenant Porter, Show the ambassador our special maneuver. Yes, Captain, the young man replied. His fingers danced across controls that seemed to respond to his touch before he actually made contact. The view on the screen shifted. Stars appeared to bend around them, stretching into lines of light. There was a brief sensation of movement. Not the usual acceleration push of conventional drives, but more like reality itself shifting around them. When the sensation passed, they were looking at an entirely different stellar configuration. We've moved approximately 20 light-years, Foster said casually, without entering conventional FTL space. Zara's scales had turned pure white, the Accioni expression of complete astonishment. That's impossible. We prefer the term improbable, Lisa said with a smile. The probability core allows us to temporarily reduce the probability of distance between 2 points to near zero. Foster moved to the center of the bridge where a three-dimensional star map hovered in the air. This is our current position relative to where we were. She pointed to 2 points that should have been separated by a considerable distance. You didn't travel the distance, Zara realized. You removed it. Exactly, Foster confirmed. And we can return just as easily. She nodded to Lieutenant Porter again, and the strange shifting sensation repeated. The view screen showed they were back at their original position. For the first time in her long career, Zara found herself truly speechless. The humans hadn't just improved existing technology. They'd created something entirely new, something that changed the fundamental rules of space travel. Would you like to see our research facilities next? Foster asked, seeming to enjoy Zara's amazement. All Zara could do was nod, her scales still glowing white with wonder. The final stop on their tour was an observation lounge at the top of the ship. Unlike the other spaces they had visited, this room had actual physical windows, massive panels of transparent material that offered a panoramic view of space. This is where our crew comes to remember why we're out here, Captain Foster said softly. The room was mostly empty except for comfortable seating arranged to face the stars. The ceiling was also transparent, creating the illusion of floating in space with only thin walls separating them from the vacuum. Zora moved to the window, her silver scales reflecting the starlight. For several moments, she simply stared at the view, processing everything she had seen. I owe you an apology, Captain, she finally said. Oh. Foster joined her at the window. I've spent 50 years representing the Accioni among the stars. I've seen technology from the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. I believe nothing could surprise me anymore. Zara turned to face the human captain. I was wrong. Foster smiled. We're used to being underestimated. Sometimes it works to our advantage. How did humans achieve so much so quickly? Zara asked. Your species went from basic space flight to this. She gestured around them. In less than a century. Foster considered the question carefully. I think it's because we never accepted limitations. Human history is full of people doing things they were told were impossible. One of Zara's head fins twitched in amusement. The Accioni Council would say that's dangerously reckless. They might be right, Foster admitted. We've made mistakes along the way, but we learned from them. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching as a distant comet streaked across the starfield. The Accioni approach technology differently, Zora explained. We believe in perfection through refinement, improving what already works until it cannot be improved further. Both approaches have value, Foster replied. Refinement creates reliability. Innovation creates possibilities. Zara's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue-green. Perhaps that's why the galaxy needs all of us. Foster nodded toward a particular star, barely visible in the distance. That's your home system, isn't it? Yes, Zora confirmed, surprised the human knew. With conventional drives, it would take us 3 months to reach it, Foster said. With our probability drive, we could be there in moments. The implication was clear. The humans were offering something valuable, rapid transport technology that could revolutionize Accioni commerce and diplomacy. When I return home, Zora said, I will recommend a formal technology exchange program with Earth, something I previously considered unnecessary. Foster smiled. We'd welcome that, Ambassador. There is much we could teach each other, Zora continued. The Accioni have perfected sustainable ecosystems that could benefit your colony worlds. Our medical technology is particularly advanced, and we have a few other innovations that might interest you, Foster added. Our quantum communication systems, for instance. As they prepared to return to the diplomatic station, Zora found herself reluctant to leave. For the first time in decades, she felt genuine excitement about the future of interstellar engineering. Captain, she said as they reached the shuttle bay, I have toured 247 vessels from 49 different species. None have shown me anything truly new in over 20 years. Her scales shifted to a bright, pure gold, the Accioni expression of sincere appreciation. Thank you for reminding me that the universe still holds wonders I haven't seen. Foster offered the traditional Accioni gesture of respect. That may be the highest compliment anyone has ever paid this ship. As Zora's shuttle departed, she watched the U.S. horizon fold space around itself and disappear in a flash of impossible light. She would never look at the stars the same way again. Sometimes true innovation came not from perfecting the known, but from embracing the impossible.